If you were building a team and you had to guard Jokic for a 7 game series, who would you want playing at the five on your team? Any player in the NBA.
When I look at Jokic, okay, first of all, he's a big guy. He's not tall. He's a big guy. So I want big guys to play against him, right? Um, and I'm not saying this because I work with this player, but I want players, that can play against him with the level of physicality that I want to play with. Like I'm a firm believer with this, and I learned this playing in the NBA. I learned this watching the NBA. You must meet the game at the physicality that the game presents itself. Okay? For instance, the late great Moses Malone. He played the game with a level of physicality. You couldn't play the game, a finesse game with him. You had to meet it there. Charles Barkley, you had to meet it there. Um, there was just
Shaq.
yeah, you got to just meet it. Like you can't like, well, I'm going to play against Shaq and we're going to politely double team him. No, he
Hmm.
would rip your head off. Okay,
Hmm.
you have to meet the game with that level of physicality. So with Jokic, I want to meet the physicality of that game, and that would be like Bismack Biyombo for me. I want to meet him with that. I'm not looking to I can't stop him, but there's one thing I'm going to meet him with. I'm going to meet him with 6 fouls, and we're going to play tough. There's going to be no flopping here. There's going to be no bull guarding here. There's going to be no intimidation here. We're going to play a hard game. And the reason I say that is because if there's one thing I really respect about Jokic, there's a lot of things, but there's one thing, he doesn't flop.
Hmm.
He's bringing, like he's bumping you with his chest, and if you can't take it, he'll run right through you. So I'm going to meet that first. I'm going to meet the bump. Okay, he's going to score 40 anyway, but he's going to score the 40 and he's going to feel the physicality of the game. The second thing I would do is you can't play him with 2 small players. You got to play him with 2 or more bigs. So I'm going to meet a player that can play with his level of physicality and who plays that way. Like Chet Holmgren, for instance. Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama, they just can't meet the physicality of the game yet.
There are a couple guys in the league that do a weirdly good job. Well, not even a good job because Jokic will still
Okay.
probably have a triple double.
Okay.
But
Who was that?
Wendell Carter, when he's matched up with Jokic,
I haven't watched that matchup enough.
okay, next
Okay.
next time they play, just keep an eye on it. Like
Okay.
Jokic will still have like 20 and 17. Like there's no one that can guard him. But Wendell Carter does all right. Grant Williams used to do very well against Jokic when he was on the Celtics. That's why he had the Batman meme. I don't know if you ever
Okay.
saw that. He came
They
to the
didn't.
post game interview with a Batman mask on because he stopped the Joker. Yeah, he had one really good game against him. Jakob Poeltl seems to kind of get under the Joker's skin a little bit as well. Like, but the thing is, no one does a good job against him. You
No, it's
can't.
just saying
No one can do a good
you
job
have
against
to
him.
meet him. You have to meet him and say, okay, I'm strong enough to play against him. I'm big enough to like absorb the physicality of that matchup. And then you're gonna need help from the weak side so he can't be twisting and turning. And more importantly, you can't allow him to throw direct passes. So you can't double team him with a smaller guy because he'll pass right over the top. So that's why you have to play him with big guys. Okay, when you playing against a great big player, a great big player who can pass, you have to make them throw lob passes or a bounce pass. So that allows your defense to get in rotation. So that's what I would do. I'm not into all of this, whatever, things they say now, the five. I'm not into that. No, I'm going to control the paint. I'm going to control that area. I'm going to control the physicality of the game. I want to play against him with guys like I don't think he's big enough. Isaiah Stewart, like for instance,
Mm. This is what I'm saying. Just get
Jalen
under his
Jalen
skin and irritate him.
No, well, I don't want to irritate him. I just want him to know he can't just bump me off the box. I just want him to be able to say, okay, I got to fight a little bit down here. Like he's a big guy. You can't play him with a smaller big man because he'll shoot right over the top of you. He doesn't he understands his true superpower. So you have to be able to meet him at least and to neutralize that so that you can get a double team. And that is what the not Milwaukee, the Minnesota Timberwolves did. They were able to just meet him with enough big guys so that he couldn't be twisting and turning and reposting and all those things. So that would be my, that would be my goal. I would love to have seen a young Steven Adams, for instance, play against him. Young Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka, for instance, would be great. I think this young kid, Edey, is strong enough to play against him. And then you have Jaren Jackson, who could be the big who double teams him. See, so there are players, there are teams, and if you're going to beat him, you need taller players. You can't beat him playing small ball. He's too good. So that would be my. I would make sure that I always have a player like that. I have to play like Udonis Haslem. I have to have a player like that. That to me is what every team you have to have. You got to have a player who can play that game. All of this fade away and all that stuff. No, I'm going to win the game on the floor. And so I want to be able to match that physicality.